Morning, guys. Uh, this is the Dark Angel coming at you live from parts unknown. Uh, First, I want to make a disclaimer real quick to let y'all know that the information I'm about to disclose here, though factual, is not me giving you advice as to what you should do where your rights are concerned as far as driving without a license. So use this at your own will and discretion, okay? I want you to know that. I'm not doing this video for popularity. I'm not doing this video to become a hit on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I'm not even doing the video on YouTube, but I will be downloading it to YouTube, to my channel, which you will see on there. There's nothing actually on there about rights. However, the Dark Angel does and always will stand up for his rights. Now, I will say this to those of you who are submissive to the way the government treats people, for those of you who don't believe that individuals, groups, organizations should be standing up for their rights, that they should just leave well enough alone, well, then you might want to go ahead, click off this video, and move on to some other video that would suit your needs. Because this is for all of us who are tired of slowly being encroached upon our God-given rights that are set forth in that of the Constitution as well as the Supreme Court law of the land. A lot of people don't understand that that is the law. So you have a lot of entities that decide that the majority of the masses are ignorant in their knowledge of the law. So I am going to answer the age-old question with facts, not all these videos that you see on YouTube where these people went up and they faced the police and you know they yeah I have a right to do this, I have a right to do that, and I can do this and I can do, yeah, you are absolutely 100% correct in what you say about your right to drive without a license and registration on your car. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact that you can do this. 100%. It's 100% factual. Now, I will say this. You have groups out there that knowingly and intentionally alter case law that has been on here on YouTube. Don't do that. That's set up for failure. Them people in them courthouses, they know what those laws read, and they know that when they see a certain insert that has been added into a law, that that is not factual, which causes 98%, if not 100%, of lawsuits that's bringing brought forth in front of them to fail. Now, granted, I will say this as well. The majority of the videos that you see on YouTube perpetrating that these people are going out here and they're telling these cops that they have a right to drive without a license, they're just traveling. Correct, you are allowed to travel. However, here's the thing. All that is based on is the con that comes out their mouth. If you are capable of conning, you are capable of talking the devil out of fire from hell. Simple fact. If you look at the history and the case law presented by the courts, or to the courts, I should say, about the right to travel without a license or registration, there is none. There is no cases. There was a gentleman on YouTube. He claimed he was talking to, I'm assuming, a reporter, and he knows who he is, and I've checked into this, and he claimed that he won the case. Well, I looked up his name, I researched him, I researched the story that he told. Not true. He did not win a Porsche. He did not win an X amount of money. Yeah, he showed you on film that he had the paperwork and that it had a file stamp on it. But the one thing he did not show you was the final opinion of the case. He showed you that the case was filed. Anybody can go in court and file with a bunch of mumble bumble bull crap. Anybody can do that. The bottom line is, until a court case has been decided, and for anyone and everyone who is facing this dilemma or out there fighting for this cause, I applaud you, because of the simple fact is, if you do get your case into court and you win, it's going to be monumental. Understand that. It's going to be monumental. It will be a landmark case. This case will set precedent for a lot of things to come. And it will clear up a lot of answers for a lot of things that's been said. With that being said, a few weeks ago, I found myself just writing. And the funny thing is it was in reference to a lot of the videos that I've seen on YouTube. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not degrading, judging anyone for what they do on video to get popularity, to gain whatever. To each their own, is the way I see it. I'm the Dark Angel. I do my own thing. But I do my thing according to what I see. I observe. I'm an observer. I love to observe things. And ironically enough, I've found case law that supports and substantiates the argument of a license, driving without a license. I've actually found case law, which in other videos I will be sharing with y'all. This right here is basically just an introductory to who I am. My name is Angel, but I go by the code name Dark Angel. And I am one who stands up for my rights. Now, I am not one of those guys that will go out there knowingly and intentionally incite provocation between myself and the police department. But I am one of those ones that if I'm out there and I do by chance see something going on that I don't think is ethical being enforced by the police department, yeah, you bet I'll pull my video out and I'll start videotaping. However, I am not one to knowingly and intentionally go to places just to have the police called on me, just so that I can prove to the world that by my saying this or my doing this or having acted on this, that I've enforced my rights. No, you haven't enforced your rights. What you did was bullied people. And that right there, that's you're drawing attention to the cause for all the wrong reasons. See, that type of action gives the government reason to put other laws in place that may be unconstitutional. Yes, they may be, but it will cause complications. So you make the fight just that much more harder. So, but like I said, to each their own. If you feel that by the government implementing new rules, new laws, new statutes, new policies in place to make things much more harder for us to stand up for our rights, then hey, you be the knucklehead to try to figure out how to get rid of it. Okay? So, as I was saying, a few weeks ago I found myself writing in reference to standing up for rights, etc., etc. And interestingly enough, I found a case law that collaborated what I was writing. I could not believe it. It amazed me. It shocked me. Because as I do extensive research, and I do not do extensive research online, I do not do extensive research through the videos on YouTube. I actually go to a law library at the library and sit down and pile books up around me and start researching and reading what the books have to say. Everybody knows everything on YouTube is correct, and everybody knows that everything on Google is right. So, hey, but I actually take the time to research and cross reference back and forth. Old law into new law. Has that law been amended? Has that law been revised? Has that statute been revised? Has it been anointed? What? I need to know the final say before I talk about it, because I'm not even going to dispute with anyone about a case law that they cannot prove that the opinion says what they are saying. Unless you can show me the opinion that the court handed down, the ruling, the final ruling, then we have nothing to discuss. That's me, the Dark Angel. So anyway, to get to this paper, because this video is going to be short, because I'm going to have many more videos to come in the future. I'm working on a lot of things that are going to help you. So I will tell you this. In 1986, a young lady presented to the court in Spokane, Washington, a case, okay, driving without a license, registration, insurance. She actually did submit a case to this effect. I will get you the details and the information about this case. Unfortunately for her, she lost the case based on wording. I try to tell and express to everybody that when you go into that court, you're into a different realm. They speak a totally different language. Now granted, I do not know this young lady, but when I read the 5 words as to why her case got kicked out, I was stunned. Her case was dismissed from court based on the fact that she said the state should have some right. The state should have some right. Okay, 6 words. My apologies. The state should have some rights. Oh, there you go. So anyway, regardless, those words rang true to me, because I'm like, no, the state has no rights, period. And this is what I concluded from having read her case. Like I said, that'll be in another video, and I'll go into the details then about that particular case. However, as I said, the age-old myth of driving without a license, registration, insurance, and all that, it is true. You can do it. It's how you present your case into the court that will win. All these groups out here and people going out here convincing these police that this, and the other, that's fine and dandy if you get away with it, but it's not a court decision. And until it's a court decision, you're flying by the seat of your pants. Keep that in mind. Until it has been a court decision, a decision handed down by the Supreme Court and or a state court or a federal court, you are flying by the seat of your pants, people. But it is true. The courts, like everybody, they don't volunteer information. They're not going to tell you how to go in there and beat this case. They're waiting for the right person to come in the courtroom and present that case to the fullest extreme and execute it to their standards. They're waiting for that. Because, like I said, it's going to be monumental. It's going to be a landmark case. It is going to blow people away. And it's going to set new standards. So I wrote this Now, this first part that I'm writing is what I wrote. And then, upon extensive research, not in relation to what I wrote, well, kind of sort of in relation to what I wrote, I actually found a case law that said, damn near word for word, a phrase that I used within my writing. A state and its governmental entities, law enforcement, who enacts and enforces laws, statutes, and or policies that are unconstitutional by means of turning rights into privileges or rights into crimes, are not entities holding the citizens' best of interest at heart, but forcing their own agenda onto the people and interfering in that of their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The United States was founded on the grounds that all men and women would be free and allowed the right of free domestic travel and free from governmental interference. By the encroachment and or abridgment of the citizens' rights, one by one, the state becomes a dictator or a dictatorship, however you want to label it. What is the definition of a dictator? One who obtains control by force. Example, turning a right into a crime where there was none forthwith. This is an autocratic behavior that is clearly designed to diminish or reduce the rights of the citizens and control the movement of its people, like a flock of sheep, the state being the herder. By the state and its police powers enacting and enforcing these unconstitutional laws, statutes, and or policies commits undue severity or harshness that asserts a cruel and harsh act or proceeding that becomes arbitrary and oppressive in nature towards the citizen. Now, if you go back to what I said, there has been ample research by hundreds of thousands of people wanting to know where there is a case law that gives the state the authority to turn a right into a crime or a right into a privilege. Guess what, people? There is none. There is not one single case on the records that or has ever been presented that allows for a state to take a right and turn it into a privilege. Now you say, well, but Angel, back when the Constitution was made, there was no cars. Correct, there wasn't. But there's been case laws well established into the century that cars was made. And case law argued and fought that was in relation to automobiles. The right to travel. No state has a right to tell you how you can travel. They can't tell you, oh, take a bus, take a taxi, take an Uber, take a Lyft. They can't tell you that. They don't have no right to tell you that. You have a right to free domestic travel in the United States of America. Free, meaning without pay, without cost, without restraint. Remember that. That is the key word to some of these videos that's going to be coming up that I'm going to be expressing to you a lot. Free, liberty, abridgment, encroachment. These are key words that I want you to keep in mind as you watch these videos. Like I said, you don't have to like these videos. You don't have to subscribe to this channel. You don't have to do any of that. I'm not here for popularity. I'm here for education. I'm here to educate the masses, to get them to think for themselves. Quit being so submissive. Quit just bowing down your head and saying, okay, well, if we just do what they say, everything will be okay. No, it won't, because before you realize that the state done encroached on all your rights and stole them and turned them either into privileges or just take and abolish them altogether. Your choice. It's your choice as an American citizen to do the right thing and stand up for your rights and not allow for our government to become a dictatorship. Because that's what's pretty much going on right now. And if you pay close attention to all the other things going on in the world, that's basically where we're heading. A dictatorship where all ye are sheep, flock together and follow the herder. I'm not a sheep. I'm not a wolf in sheep's skin either. I'm just a realist. I'm not going to sit here and fill your head full of bullshit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh yeah, this, that, and the other, and what have you. No, I'm not going to do that. What I am going to tell you is be your own person. Think. Think for yourselves. Don't allow for other people to influence you into thinking the way they want to think, the government, and believe that it's okay, because it's not okay. It's not okay to any degree of the word. Back in the day, when automobiles first came out, there wasn't no such thing as a driver's license. That's how far back in law you have to go to find the Supreme Court cases that support the argument of today. Supreme Court law is the law of the lands, and unless you find cases where those rulings have been overturned, key word there, overturned, they are law. Well, here's the issue with that. There is no cases that's ever been presented to the Supreme Court about the right to drive without a license. Now they got a law. Chicago Motor Coach versus the City of Chicago. And in that law, they wrote in there, as a matter of fact, let me pull it out. I actually have it right here. No state government entity has the power to allow or deny passage on the highways, byways, nor waterways transporting his vehicles and or personal property for either recreation or business, but by being subjected only to local regulations, safety, caution, traffic light, speed limits. Travel is not a privilege requiring a license. Okay. That is Chicago Coach Company versus the City of Chicago, 377. Here's the thing about that case. Exactly what I just read you right there is founded in the case. However, when you go on YouTube, they've added some wording to this case that says travel is not a privilege requiring licensing, registration, or forced insurances. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is not a part of the case, and do not use that case in your proceedings if you are deciding to challenge the constitutionality of the law. Do not use that. Do not use those phrases. The case stops at travel is not a privilege requiring license. Okay? Now, again, as I said, the word free is going to be one of the main words, okay, that is going to be used a lot by that of myself, because a lot of people seem to associate free with, oh, it's free. All I got to do is pay postage and handling. Dummies, it's not free. If you're paying postage and handling, it's not free. Okay? But some of them have the delusioned mind that, oh, all I got to do is pay postage and handling and I get the product free. You just pretty much pay for that product because the postage and handling is probably what the actual cost of that product was to make. So all they're doing is charging you postage and handling when it only costs them $3 or $6 to even make that product. So you're going to pay $6, $7, $8 in postage. So you pretty much just paid for the product. Okay? Common sense, people. Common sense is going to be one of the main frames of what you're going to find out about me. I like to say that I have a PhD in common sense. Because I love to listen to people. I love to listen to people talk. Everybody has their opinions, just like everybody has assholes. Simple. If what you say makes any kind of remote sense, and it's in relation to the law, first and foremost, show me a case law that supports what you say, or it's just an opinion. So, as I was telling you, I wrote that, what I read to you earlier, and then I actually just found this just a couple days ago in relation to the part of the case that I wrote about the government encroaching upon your rights one by one. Listen to what this case has to say. This is the case of Robertson versus Department of Public Works. Again, another case that's here in Washington. This is from the Supreme Court case that was back in, I do believe, 1934, I believe. We had a Chief Justice, Warren Tolman. Now, this is the Chief Justice. He handed this decision down in this case. Okay? He made this decision. And I must say that I applaud this man for his act in this case. Personal liberty, or the right to enjoyment of life and liberty, is one of the fundamental and natural rights which has been protected by its inclusive as a guarantee in the various constitutions, which is not derived from or dependent on the U.S. Constitution, which may not be submitted to a vote and may not depend on the outcome of an election. It is one of the most sacred and valuable rights, as sacred as the right to private property, and is regarded as inalienable. Now, this comes from the Constitutional Law, 16 CJS, Constitutional Law, Section 202, page 987. He's made it very clear that the enjoyment of life and liberty is not to be voted on as to whether or not you can enjoy life or liberty. It's not to go up for a vote. It's not to be decided upon by the people. It is natural. It's given to you. That's what it is. Now, here's what he says. Complete freedom of the highways is so old and well established, a blessing that we have forgotten the days of the robber barons and toll roads. And yet, under an act like this, arbitrarily administered, the highways may be completely monopolized. If through lack of interest the people would submit, meaning be submissive, that they're going to let it happen, then they may look to see the most sacred of their liberties taken from them one by one, by a more or less rapid encroachment. Wow, that's what I was talking about right there. That one by one, the government, they slide in there and they implement certain things into the law and try to persuade the people, or actually they do persuade the people because the people believe it, because they become submissive to the way of what the government says, and they're so governmentally caught up that they're not actually paying attention to what is being done. Yeah, you're listening to what's being said, but you're not looking at what's being done. Extensive research has not turned up one case or authority acknowledging the state's power to convert a citizen's right to travel upon the public roads into a privilege, nor turn a right into a crime. It seems only proper to define the word license, as the definition of the word will be extremely important in understanding the statutes as they are properly applied. Listen to this. The permission by competent authority to do an act which without permission would be illegal. A right to a crime. But no case law giving the state authority to do it. Here's what else is said. By the way, that's People versus Henderson 218, in case you're wondering, Northwest. A license fee is a charge made primarily for regulation, with the fee to cover costs expenses, and supervision of or regulation. State versus Jackson 60. Now, here's the interesting part. The Constitution actually stands on the fact that in your pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, in your right to pursue the life and liberty and pursuit of happiness, that you can pursue these without government interference. The law that I just read to you says that the expenses and cover costs of a license is for supervision. But the Constitution specifically says in that of the 14th Amendment that the people were given the right to free domestic travel. Word for word, not me adding in words, not me putting in excerpts or taking out words and putting in words to fit my agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not have an agenda. My agenda is to get the word out to you correctly, and the correct way that the Constitution has been written. It specifically says free domestic travel. Again, a lot of people, no common sense. Well, Angel, they didn't have cars back then. No, they did not. But they do not limit you to how you can travel. And the expression free means not to pay, no charge, go about your way, go about it any way you can. That has been the set standard, and no one ever takes the time to think about that. The first thing they want to say is, well, they didn't have cars back then. Yeah, well, duh, common sense. No, they did not, but you still had the right to free travel. And no state has the power or has been given the power or is granted the power to tell you how you can travel. That's the argument. No state has the right to tell you how you can travel. There's no case law on it. And I challenge all of you, all you lawyers out there I've talked to over the past 3 months. And this is not exaggeration, folks. I've talked to over 100 different law firms. And every single one of them is under the brainwashed idea that you do need a license to drive, and that it is a requirement by the state, and that the state enforces that under such and such statute. Yeah, well, that statute that you're talking about, like for instance in the state of Washington, statute RCW 46, it specifically states in there in section 2, 46001 section 2 specifically states in there that in order for you to drive on the streets in the state of Washington, one must acquire a driver's license. No, sir, that's an unconstitutional statute, which is the statute that I am currently at this time challenging. Now, granted, right now, I don't even have a license. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even have a license. I just got a regular ID. But I got 2 cars sitting out there in the driveway. I don't have sovereign citizenship plates on my car because I'm not a sovereign citizen. A lot of the stuff they do, I agree with. But a lot of the stuff they do is just plain bonehead moves. A lot of stuff that a lot of people do is plain bonehead moves, if you want to be honest about it. But it just makes it harder for those of us who are actually really standing up for our rights to achieve and accomplish our goal in sustaining our rights and being able to maintain what we have. You're just making it a lot harder, But I'm not telling you to bow down. I'm not telling you to be quiet. Raise your voice. Everybody has a right to their voice. Everybody has a right to express their values and their views. Everybody has that right. And I would never tell anybody not to express that right. But go about it with common sense. commonality should tell you that if you go on YouTube and you're altering these case laws, making them to read and fit your agenda as to what you're arguing, people are going to start reading that. They're going to start looking at that, and they're going to take that to heart. But then you got to keep in mind there's the officials who, as some law says, they are competent. Where they get that from, I don't know. They're not that competent. Okay? We'll start reading those laws and flagging them. So then that way it makes them inusable. So, to be that statute which would deprive a citizen of the rights of person or property without a regular trial according to the course and uses of the common law would not be the law of the land. Hoke versus Henderson 15, NC 15. So basically what I've just done here was read you citations, not off of YouTube. Again, these did not come off of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. This did not come off of Google. This did not come off the internet in any kind of way, shape, and or form. This, what I have expressed to you and read to you here today, for the exception of the paper that I personally wrote, these are laws that came straight from the books. Everything that I'm going to share with you in the next series of videos that's going to be in relation to just rights in general is laws that are coming straight from the books. You can bank on them. As I mentioned earlier, there was a young lady out of Spokane, Washington. She submitted a case to the court, an appeal to the court for driving without a license, driving without her car being registered, insurance, and she had a few other little various cases that, again, turned her right into a crime. Because now all of a sudden she's got a resisting arrest, hindering an investigation, etc., etc. Now this case came back from 1986, 86, 87, 88, somewhere right along in those lines. Like I said, I will relocate that case and show you it on its face, what it says. I have the case. It's just here somewhere in all this mumbo jumbo. I will show you this case, and I will explain to you why she was denied. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, you can drive without a license. Yes, you do have to face the consequences that comes with that, but it's all about the appeal and what you put in that appeal and how you word it to the courts is how you're going to win this case. Okay? Listen, this is Dark Angel. I got to get out of here because this video is getting a little bit too long. I got some more work to do. I'm going to be working on other videos. No, I'm not streaming on YouTube. I'm actually just using a regular old camera recorder, and I will download this to YouTube. But, you know, hey, if you do like what you see here, then hit that like button. Share this video. Listen to the case laws that I wrote. Okay? Listen to what they say. Think about it. Put it up here in your head. Remember, freedom, liberty. Okay? Freedom, liberty, dictator, abridgment, encroachment. These are key words. Oh, and most importantly, common sense. Until the next video, y'all have a blessed day.